Trying this on my iPad, so see if I can make it work.
Hope so.
We'll keep trying. It's like, oh, I'm not sure I can get this to work, but it looks totally different than my other computer.
Oh,
but I was going to try to pull up the handouts in the other one, and I might actually be able to see them if I had to.
There are a lot of different handouts. It's a busy
agenda.
agenda.
It's like I'm looking at all of them, and it's like, oh gosh, can I even figure this out? Like, I think I will. It's like, okay. So it's only you and me. That's why I don't have other participants yet, huh?
Yeah, and Barbara Bigelow, she's one of the applicants, is just signing on.
Oh, okay. I have to figure out how to make my screen do something, you know? Whoa. There we go.
Hi. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for attending.
Oh, thank you for letting me attend.
22 News will explain the state's plan and what it means for you. 22 News is working for you. Finding a look forward after an unprecedented week. Here's Harry Smith.
I guess since it's quiet right now, I can complete the introduction. Mary David is one of the commissioners.
Hi,
Barbara.
Mary. Yeah, and I'm a wannabe.
Here is an applicant.
An applicant, right? I knew there was a better title, but
I mean, I don't know if there's a formal one.
Got you my mic back on. It's like, okay. I'll see if I can figure out how to use my computer today.
How long have you been on the commission, Mary?
Maybe since September.
Oh, okay, so relatively new. And
I'm a newbie.
How's the learning curve being?
Big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came with no experience, so you know, I've done some classes and everybody's really helpful, but
Great.
It's a lot of information sometimes, but I'm learning.
Yeah, I'll be in your shoes if I end up on the commission, because I also have a background.
I think you looks like you have some experience already though with plants and learning plants and
looking at seeds.
Looking at seeds. Okay, so seeds are different than plants.
Yeah.
That's what part of it is, trying to decide, okay, let's see, what kind of plant is this? Is this where it belongs? But I'll learn.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot already.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a lot of information. I was a nurse, so it's totally out of my field, but
yeah.
But it's exciting to do something different.
Yeah.
So right now I'm trying to figure this out here. Oh, we got somebody else on.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Phil Parker.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about the mountain bike trail proposal.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
David is on the commission.
We're waiting for Liam.
Oh, hi, Miriam. I must have signed you in, but I somehow didn't even see that you were there. Oh, good. So yeah, we don't have quorum yet.
Okay.
Oh.
Hi, Miriam. I'm Barbara. I'm an applicant for the commission.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Julia Connor is signing on. She's also an applicant.
Where is the agenda?
I sent out a lot of.
You
It
did.
was in two different. Well, I sent it the agenda again today.
I know, and I tried to have everything open and ready to go, but of course, then it isn't. I gotta find it. I will find it.
It is always on the town calendar. If
I know.
if you can't find the.
It looks like Robin and Liam are having an issue.
Is that, did they just send an email?
They're getting a message that the meeting was held yesterday at 7.
Oh, there's Liam.
And, okay, so that's not good.
Liam's just signing in now, though.
Okay,
Maybe he can
well, that's
explain
good.
it.
Oh my God, what's all this?
Hi there.
I ha-
Hey, so how did you figure out the issue? Because Robin is also having trouble.
I just kept clicking the link and leaving the meeting. And I think once, I don't know what happened, but I think after 7 p.m., it just let me in.
Well, that's concerning, though.
So hopefully Robin can get into, I can send her an email just to say leave and try to join again.
Okay, thank you. That's the first time that that's happened.
Just want you to know this is not beer that I'm drinking.
I hadn't even noticed.
Okay, I just felt like I needed to say that.
I don't think that was any part of the oath that you swear in as a.
I know. Well, you know, people can get very informal on Zoom meetings. I was at a Zoom meeting for a nonprofit I work with, and it was a training, and there was a woman drinking wine at the Zoom meeting, and then she fell asleep. And the presenter, you know, we're all watching, like 20 people on the meeting, we're all watching this woman snoring away. And, you know, she's like, has this glass of wine that we can see is wine, and then she just fell asleep. Should have been
So
on Zoom.
I did send an email to Robin. Hopefully she gets in soon.
Okay. Well, technically, I mean, 3 out of. Oh, no, that's not her. Okay. Would MICHA tell me their first and last name for the minutes? If they can hear me.
They're muted.
Yeah, I invited to unmute, but maybe that's not working. And I don't know if Michael, who just joined, can hear me. I don't know if that's the Michael who's also an applicant.
Hi, Janice.
Hello.
What do you do if someone won't identify themselves, Tessa?
If they can speak, unmute themselves, and
But if they refuse to, we had this at a meeting yesterday.
so actually Linda checked in on this, and I have to do my best to get everyone down on the minutes of attendance, but it's not legally required. So I just do the best I can.
Okay.
And yeah, which is good to hear. I think. I mean, I guess that could happen in public meeting too if you sent around the sheet and someone chose not to sign it. I guess that would be their choice. Would Michael unmute and say their last name?
Okay, am I on?
Yes.
Sorry, still learning this.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Hi, Michael Shursnow, Shutesbury resident for 16 years, looking to possibly volunteer to join the board.
Thank you. All right.
So I'm wondering if we wait maybe 1 more minute and then we can get started without Robin, assuming she'll get in.
Yeah, I can check my email in the meantime.
Okay.
But yeah, we do have quorum.
Yeah.
Hi, Tess.
Hi, good evening.
You know, I think you saw my name on there, so you know who I am.
Yes, I know who you are. I've gotten it straight now. Good evening.
I think I watched enough meetings in the last month. By the way, I want to comment you do a good job.
Thank you. I
So I'd
try
rather
my
have
best.
people know that people think you do a good job.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No, you do a good job, and some of us, or a lot of us, appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you for the compliment.
Okay, I'm thinking that we should open the meeting.
Okay, I can resend the link if you're able to start things.
Okay, so we will go ahead and open the meeting at 7:08 p.m. Tessa, I know that you're sending an email to Robin, but would you also be able to read the statement?
Oh, yes, thank you for reminding me. I have it here. All right. Following the governor's restrictions on public meetings, this meeting is being held virtually using zoom.com for remote participation only. The public may access it following the instructions on this meeting's agenda posted on the town calendar. If, despite our best efforts, we are not able to provide real-time access, the public can request a recording of this meeting by contacting the town clerk.
Yeah, and it sounds like one of our own is having that issue tonight, so that's interesting. So I guess we'll start by considering the minutes from the December 10th meeting. Miriam and Mary, have you had a chance to read them?
I have, and now I'm trying to find where I had some comments. So
Okay.
if you guys could just give me 1 second. There were some things I wondered about, but I'm gonna have to.
I did look at them too, but I didn't see anything. that
Okay.
would
I did
change.
find, give me 1 sec. I think I put the notes somewhere else.
And one thing I will already note is that I forgot a Z in Dan Nietzsche's name. So
Oh,
one
right.
thing
And
I've already corrected.
I did have a short comment or revision in that section. And it had to do with Dan's name being on the application, I think.
Right.
There was a, where is it?
Back-
Jake's,
Penny had wanted it updated, his contact.
yeah, because
information.
he really is the representative. And it does say there is a request for something with Dan's name, but it doesn't actually specify it being on the ANRAD and him being the representative on the ANRAD. So I
Okay, so
just think we should be
specify,
with that.
so an edit to specify that it was requested that he,
Correct.
Tess, I have a few corrections.
okay, what, give me one
Okay,
moment. and,
Yep.
I can just. I did keep an open. So I have the minutes open in front of me. So
Okay.
direct
Okay.
me where to go.
All right, first page under the Old Peach Orchard CR, second paragraph. Cregan has created a map and showing the CR and that track. I think it
Okay,
needs
yep.
the track.
Mhm.
And then page 2, under Southbrook Conservation Area, Jake's has, not as. Looks like there's an
Sorry,
H
one
in
more,
it.
where's, what, page 2?
Page 2, under Southbrook.
Southbrook hat, yes, I see it.
And then under the ANRAD for Lot H 151,
Mhm.
it looked like, okay, we already got the comment about Dan on the ANRAD. There was a comment from Mark Stinson that I had in my notes that he was wondering about the connection between flags that are now hydrologically connected. That's in my notes and it's not in here.
Okay, what would you like me to put in?
Just Stinson wondered about the connection between flags, notes that those points are now hydrologically connected. That's what my note said.
Yeah, and I think Dan agreed.
Yeah.
He, at that time, Mark said, these are so close. Have you gone out to look again? And Dan said, yeah, they're connected, but he was going to reflag it or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And then you had a comment. You know, I've highlighted things and now I wonder if I added things into this draft. Just above that, Jake's recommends the commission arrange for peer review, wait for flags to be replaced. Is that in your notes or is that in my notes?
I had not.
I think that's in your notes, Miriam.
So if you
Okay.
want to forward a copy to, or
Yes,
attach, email me a copy of
I
your.
can't. What I have is that she wants the commission to wait for the flags to be replaced. And then per stone, my notes say that she thought there was a vernal pool.
Yeah, I asked Dan if he had noticed someone. He was out there, but it probably wasn't the time of year. So I don't know if he found something or not.
And then there was a comment right below that from you, Tessa. I don't know that this is really important because it doesn't really change anything. It was about,
Yeah,
about the
I
wetlands.
did have that, like I asked it compared to the GIS, but since it was negative, I wasn't sure. But if the commission would like me to put that in,
I'm just noting it. I don't think it's really important, but I do notice that the next sentence, I'm not sure what the font likes. My notes don't show, you know, I was taking notes, so I wasn't taking notes about what I was saying, and I don't really remember what I liked. Does anybody remember?
Oh, I don't remember.
He
I
likes
just
having
noticed
a
that
lot of
too.
things, like money too. I think I was saying something about wanting, was it maybe something about a map with the hydrological connections? But I'm not really sure. But that would be okay if you wanted to finish it saying that that's what I like. That would be fine.
okay.
And oh, and then bottom of page 3, last sentence, per Stockman about the season. What my notes say is that Emily said a significant impact was the way the landscape was read because all indicators may not be present, which is a little different than saying that the drought can make it difficult. I think this slightly different way of saying it has, I think, a different emphasis.
Do you want to repeat what you said one more time?
What Emily said was, we were discussing why there was this change in the way the delineations were made.
Right.
And then Maria gave an explanation, and then Emily said a significant impact, meaning in the way that the initial delineation was made, was the way in which the landscape was read. That was the language she used.
And my note that followed that exact phrase from Emily was that because it was late in the season and drought.
Yeah,
That's why
all
they
indicators
had a
may
harder
not be.
time. Yeah.
All indicate, right. So it's very close, but a little slightly different. And I think that is all I have. Wait. No, I think that's all I have.
Okay. Then I think just to make sure I was taking notes on what you were saying, but probably to double check, if you wouldn't mind emailing me a copy of your draft of the minutes. That would be the changes that you've added to your version of the minutes. That would be great. But Chair, is there ready for a motion?
I think so. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes
As amended?
with the, as amended.
All right, I second that.
We could wait. Robin actually is joining now, so we can see if it works.
Okay, so, I lead the roll call, huh? So, David,
Aye.
DeFont,
I
Cregan, aye. Okay, so next item on the agenda is site visit follow-ups. We're gonna start with 31 Lakeview Road. And I believe Joe is here, the landowner. So Mary and I paid a visit to the site a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was like a month ago now. And we met up with Joe there. We took a look at the trees he cut. There were a fair amount of trees cut, and they were all within 200 feet of the Mill River. And a tractor had also been driven through to, I presume, remove the trees. There was erosion control installed, hay bales, closer to the stream, but none of this was done with a permit. So I could share my screen, Tessa, with pictures if you wanted to give me permission. I think I need permission to do so.
I believe I should have activated it. It
Oh, there
should
we
be
go.
ready.
Okay. So can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the northwest corner of the property. There were trees removed and stumps ground. This is another view of the northwest corner where stumps were ground and you can see the disturbed soil. This is looking south from the same spot. You can see the Mill River in the background, and you can see the erosion control in place, but there's a gap in the hay bales right here. And you can also see a tree removed with the stump left in right along this stone wall. And then this is the northeast corner of the property. You can see tractor marks in the frozen soil, and there were trees removed with stumps ground. I think there's a stump in right there too. So that's just like a little bit of background. And per Penny's recommendation, we drafted an enforcement order. So Tessa, I don't know if you have that up.
I can share that. If that's the route that the commission
Yeah.
would like to head in.
Yeah, so I don't know what folks think about that, but that's something that we were floating just to make it legally official. Joe has mentioned that he's open to mitigation and replanting the area, and we just kind of want to make it official. Essentially, that would be the purpose of the enforcement order.
I would just say too, that another reason for the enforcement order is just so that you give it a time, a deadline, and sometimes people, if they don't have a deadline, it sort of slips away. So that's another reason just to have something, written on paper and set up.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
As far as the deadline, does that go? Because right now I'm working on the septic design, which I'm going to come back to your board with. The engineers have got it all. That's one thing. And what we're going to do with the building based on the septic design, it'll be another issue I'm going to bring right to the board, because I do want to plant trees back in, because that's what makes the look of the area. And the trees that had been gotten removed, some of those were actually removed by the town. The other part of it is a lot of it was debris that was fallen from the storms. Reason the tractor marks are there was because the trees had been pushed over the road up against the house from different storms that we've had, and that's where those trees came from. I don't know if that makes a difference or not. I just removed what was already leaning up against the house, because before you couldn't see it, and I'm trying to save as much of it as possible. I don't know what else to tell you. I probably should have came to you, because actually there's some other trees that are against the road right now that are standing dead, that are dangerous. And like when I talked to Liam before, is that I had kids going through my yard, both from a camp across the lake or across the stream, using some of those trees with zip ties on them and going back and forth on my property, which I was concerned that some of them are going to fall on them. And then the UMass kids have been going, they were parking and using my property to access the stream to do a survey. So some of the trees, I apologize, I probably should have came to you, but I was more concerned that somebody getting hurt, that's all.
Yeah, and I think we understand that. We just would have liked to, I think, at least been in been contacted before at the very least, and then we would have been able to discuss whether you needed to put in an application. So, and Joe, I think the reason for the enforcement order is really to just, like Janice said, to put a timeline on replanting and also just make it official that you will commit to it.
Well, I would definitely commit to it, but can I ask when you do the enforcement order that you give me enough time, so it's, with all the stuff that's going on right now, it's hard to get people to, I'm still waiting for UMass on my soil test, and it's been almost 2 months. Because of the COVID, they're not doing as many tests on the soil as they were doing, I guess, earlier. So it's in the hands of the engineering, and because I already had the state guy come in when they did the perk test guy, and I know as soon as I get that design, I'm going to go to the conservation and go to the Board of Health, because those are two things I have to go through, and then I can decide at that point. That decides what I'm going to do with the building and whether it's worth keeping it or building a new building. So I just hope that the board keeps that in mind when they put a time limit as far as the planting, because the planting, they can't plant until they know where the septic system is going.
Yeah, I
So
think that
I'd
I think that
appreciate
makes
it.
sense. And I think I think that it would be possible for you to put in an application for the septic, and that'll probably be an RDA. But I guess you'll talk to Tessa about that. But I think that could probably, Miriam, sorry.
What about planting along the slope to get it stabilized? Because that's not going
Well,
to be affected by the septic.
Well, everywhere the trees came down right now where the pictures are is basically where the septic system is going to be. It's on the higher end. The upper end is where the house is right by the road, is the same as the neighbor that we just put a septic system next door. It's the same location as my neighbors that the conservation must have already seen it. And beyond that, there's a rock wall, and that's where the bales of hay are located. I didn't touch anything that was beyond the upper level. The bales of hay and the road that's there was always been there. The upper level where the septic system is going to go is the same as the neighbor. So I don't know if that comes into play. Some of the trees that are on the bottom, the reason you see the stump is because they were actually, if you looked at the cottage, there used to be a porch where the trees were laying into it, and it was ready to fall. They were already rotted, and they were the part of the rotted stumps that were there.
Can I ask a question? This is
Of
Janice
course,
again.
I don't mind.
Actually, I want to ask it of Don as our tree warden. Don, do you know anything about the trees that were along the edge of the road, whether they're dead or whether the ones that are still there are okay or not? I don't know if you've looked.
Oh, I've looked, and I sent you guys a report with my photos and a Zillow photograph from before the work had been done. If there was storm damage later in the year, it wouldn't be on the Zillow photograph. Joe, can you clarify which trees the town took down? Because two of the trees that were removed were pretty good size diameter, and they belong to the town.
Yeah, they did. They took the two trees down by the driveway, and then I had two trees that were right up against the building of
Okay,
the cottage.
so
Those were my trees. I took them down.
But Tim Hunting took those two trees down?
Yes, he hired. That was during the time when they were doing tree removal for safety. They took a couple there, and they took a couple more down because they were ready to fall.
Okay.
Actually, there's actually another one on the corner that I'm going to bring to his attention, and if the town can't afford doing it, I may ask the board. I'll go back to the conservation and have them look at it at some point and ask them what their ruling is on it, because it's literally 4 feet off the road and it's standing completely dead.
So any dead trees that you have that you think are town trees, just mark them with orange flagging and ask Tim to take a look at them. He has my okay to remove dead trees when residents ask?
Yeah, that's what they did. The time they did, and I gotta say, they did a good job. The only thing I did that I did ahead of time is there was a tree in a corner that had the power wires growing right through it, and it had to be removed because that was another safety issue. And I had to call Mass Electric and to remove the tree so that no one would ever energize the tree on it because the
Right.
wires were literally going through the tree.
Okay,
And the other trees that they use, what made an impact why it looks so open is because the trees being as large as they were dead, the minute you take a large tree like that, I mean, it leaves an opening. I like trees. I mean, I go along with the board's thing. What makes that property is the trees. But I don't know where to put the trees at this point until I get a septic design in and stuff. If you need me to take out a permit, I'll take out whatever permits you want me to take out. But it was all in the upper end and by the road. I don't know what else to add. If you got any other questions I can help you on, I'd be glad to.
no, that's fine, thank you.
And I did what I knew how to do. I didn't realize it was 100 feet. I thought it was less. That's why I put all the bales of hay across for erosion in case there was any, and I did that ahead of time. I made sure they needed stumps, got ground down and not removed. I mean, I know some of the things that help out the water as best as I can. I don't know what else. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know what else to
Consider
tell
some
you.
erosion control seating on the site where the trees were removed along the embankment where it's steep.
I left all the wood chips when they chipped it. I
Yeah.
put the wood chips down on there, and the reason you see the ruts from the tractor is because I moved try to spread the wood chips out, but over there it was wet, and I wanted to make sure there was nothing left on there that would cause any rot or damage or go towards the stream. But if you look on it, it's mostly the wood chips that got spread around there, and you get a lot of water, they move it around a little bit, but it actually slows everything down. It's hard to do when you got a bank in front of you that's 13 feet. So none of the bank got disturbed. It's on the below end of the bank, on right by the road. But again, a lot of the trees in the past, because the house had been vacant for 45 years, every time they had some emergency that went on in that area, the old days was just take the tree and throw it over the bank. So I had a stack of stuff growing into the cottage.
Do any other commissioners have questions for Joe?
No. No?
Okay.
I have a question to the board, and maybe you can guide me on this one because I want to make sure I get your permission or anything before I do anything else. And I apologize if I did anything wrong. At some point when I find out what the deal is with the septic or stuff, as much as I'm trying to save the cottage, I might have to remove it to start all over again because I'm doing a survey of all of the underneath and the supports and everything, and I got to find out whether it's feasible to take it down, what's there, and just rebuild it from the ground up so I have a good foundation to work from as far as the sill plates and everything else. And since there's not a lot there, it may be easier for me to remove it and then start all over and rebuild the four walls and everything that are there. But it's going to require a machine to pull it out of there.
Yeah, so that'll definitely require an application. Do you know if you'll be digging a new foundation, or are you going to work with what you already
No,
have?
I'm gonna work on the foundation I have already.
Okay.
And if I have to go outside, because there used to be a porch on the back of it that went out, and I want to do this. My plan is to use the screws that go in the ground for supports, because they don't do a lot of damage anyways. And I find that for around Shutesbury, it's actually a good idea to do.
Is it a poured foundation or is it on piers?
It's a little bit of, right now, the foundation for the building is on a partly stone, partly poured. What they did is through time is they must have had a stone foundation, then they put a cement wall inside of it and re-supported it. There are some part of it that's got to be repaired. Ice got in it water got in it and cracked it. It's got to be repaired. It may have to have a new form put on the inside of it, but I'm trying to stay with the same footprint as I have. The only place that may go back over is they used to have a porch in the back of the house and was set on, maybe it was set on blocks because it has piers. And that's where I would put the screws in. Because if I do another cottage, I do want to put a porch back on it because it's the beauty of the lake. I mean, beauty of the stream. But I'll put it on supports. I'll put it on screws. Because I know, what's your opinion on that? I mean, do you guys rather like screws versus poured concrete columns? I mean, what do you prefer?
Whatever does the least damage to, or whatever disturbs the soil the least, I think is what we generally prefer.
Okay.
Which I think the screws are better with, right?
Yeah, screws usually are better, but again, I'm only gonna know that when they go to put the septic system in to find out how much ledges or something is there. And maybe I'll put the piers for the porch, the entrance porch, when I'm doing the septic, the ground will already be disturbed, so it ain't gonna bother. But in the back, I'm definitely gonna put it on the piers because they just come in and they screw them in the ground and it's based on weight load.
Okay. Yeah, you'll definitely have to put in paperwork for both the septic and if the potential rebuild for the house. So you can work with Tessa down the line on that, and then we can do another site
I'll
visit.
stop in and get it. And I'm trying to think of. So as far as taking the building now, it's going to go to the building inspector if I take it down, and get all the permits for that as well. But I'm still waiting for everything. I'm just trying to put everything together, and it's, as everybody knows, it's pretty slow.
So I have a couple questions just because I've been going through some similar sort of permitting in another town. Is any of that area within the 100-year floodplain? Some of that lower part, perhaps, maybe not the house and stuff. But if it is, then that means they'll take more documentation about the house that was there, because you have to prove what you had for compensatory storage before you rebuild. But if it's not in the 100-year floodplain, then it's still probably all within the 200-foot riverfront, I'm guessing. It seems like a shallow lot.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a septic system or a house, that should be a notice of intent. And you can check with Mark Stinson at DEP about that. But I think that's what he'll tell you. That's what he always tells me.
It's talking about the flood zone. That's one of the things I've been working on, not just for here, for other things that I wanted to find out about. And I found out the flood zones in a lot of this area haven't been updated in a long, long time.
Correct.
It's funny because there's properties on the lake itself that some people consider it a flood zone, where other people don't consider it a flood zone because there's a dam. So the water can only go so high before it goes over the dam.
In the end, it's all based on FEMA maps. Whatever.
Well, the FEMA map, that's what I went by.
70s.
I called
Yeah.
FEMA.
Yep.
So this is Tessa. I would just want to keep moving forward because we actually have a hearing that's supposed to start in 10 minutes. So thank you. And Chair, I don't know if you want to make a decision to move forward with the
I'll stop and get a permit if that helps out.
enforcement order or what?
Yeah, so I'm personally for that. I don't know what the commission thinks. I haven't really heard what other commissioners think about that yet.
I would agree. Yeah, I think that we should do it.
Can you repeat what we're doing? Well, what is
Or essentially, we're talking about making a motion to approve an enforcement order for, so it's basically going to ask Joe to put in a restoration plan to replant the property.
Does that have a time limit with it?
I think so, right, Tessa?
Yes, the form does require a time limit.
Time limit for submitting it or time limit for completing it?
Submitting the plan, submitting the restoration plan.
But when does the plan have to go in effect? That's all I wanted to know.
I think that would be described in the plan, I would expect. The form itself, which maybe I should just share it to start make that easier.
Now, can I submit that plan as soon as because it may be a while before I get the results back from the septic, because that's going to determine where the trees will get planted. That's all.
Yeah, so Joe,
That's what I'm waiting for, because I'm.
it sounds like in your restoration plan, you can include that information that you're planning on replacing the septic system, and then we'll replant the area after that.
Okay, all right.
So,
And
So-
will we do another site visit since it was an enforcement order?
It's unclear to me. It's my first enforcement order.
Anybody want to help us out here?
You probably don't need to, since he has documented the site and Joe is agreeing to it. You've got some documentation for the record. So it would be, he submits a restoration plan. Let's say you have to plant another 10 trees on the property, preferably down closer to the stream, perhaps, or something like that. And that has to be native species, and that he doesn't need to get them planted until, I don't know, like the end of June or something like that, assuming that by then, he'll have his plans and he'll know where things are going to be. So he should get the plan in sooner, but then the plan can say that, he has until, usually it's till the end of June that it's okay to plant. And after that, things get too dry and it gets more difficult. So that's why I'm just suggesting a date like that, or Don may have some better ideas on dates for planting.
But I got a question. The trees that on the lower end never got touched. Those trees had fallen, not because of me.
Mm-hmm. But you just probably won't be able
Up
to
on the upper
plant
end
in this. Yeah, but you're going to be having your septic system in the area where you did the cutting, so you're probably going to have to put them somewhere else on the site, right?
All right, I'm gonna have to put them somewhere else on the site, but I'd have to put them where already the trees haven't been touched.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's gonna affect the trees that are there already. I can put some trees up by the road again, which is I was planning on doing anyways. If that makes a difference, because that's another spot I wanted to screen off the road from the house again and put some new smaller pines in to replace the pines that came out of there, which I have no problem with.
I mean, that can be a future discussion. What needs to complete the form would be just deciding on a date to get that plan, not to have it completed.
So Tess, I'll stop by the town hall. Let me know when I can pick up that forms.
Okay.
And is there a fee that I have to drop off at that too?
No. Well, the permit, when it gets to the time for permitting, there's a fee connected to that. But for this enforcement order, there's no fee.
Okay, so that's a fee or an am I picking up an application for that? Is that because of the order? Would it make easier sense if I just went and picked up an order and filled out an order? Because it just seems like I'm going to be going around in a circle. That's all. I'll pick up an order of what I'm doing, and does that make a difference?
So the enforcement order is permitting that comes directly, paperwork, DEP paperwork that comes directly from the commission. Usually it's mailed to you. So you don't have, so I would be mailing it to your address. And then you would come back to the commission with the restoration plan at an open meeting.
All right, just give me again, I won't know until my engineer gets back to me. I don't know if it's gonna be 1 week or 1 month or 2 months. I've been calling and trying to get it done, but it's all in the hands of this whole thing of the UMass being mostly closed.
So commission, does it make sense to pick a date? The second Tuesday in April is the 8th. If that would give enough time.
I would give it longer, knowing what's going on, if that's possible.
So May 13th is the second Thursday. It would be a commission meeting.
That's cutting it awfully close for the planting season. I mean,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
seems like you should be
but I won't be able to
something
plant
by
until-
April.
If you're gonna establish grasses, they're gonna have to be planted sometime in March or April.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't plant the grasses till I can get the septic. I'm going to be putting a septic system in. So, everywhere that the grasses are gonna go is where the septic system is.
You still have to stabilize the site until you're permitted to do the work and you have the contractors and the contractors are ready to work.
Could it be something, could I put straw on it for now to stabilize it? Could I put hay down?
You could.
Spread hay down? Would
You,
that,
you could put mulch hay down.
I'll put mulch hay down just and to stabilize it, because I'll be at some point digging it up again, and I have no problem with that. If that works with the board, I do that ASAP.
Yeah, and Joe, do you think you would close that gap in the
What happened? I lost you.
bales? I'm not really sure if there is water. Do you think you'd be able to close that gap in the hay bales you've installed too temporarily?
I can do that too.
Yeah,
I think there was
between
one
those
bale
two
I got out of
things-
there. I think I left that opening because the kids are walking through and I don't want them to bust the bales up. But
Okay.
I can get another bale to go in there.
Yeah, I think between those two things, it would be really great if you could get the restoration plan in by April, though, just so we could, so there would be a chance for you to plant this year.
Okay, but that's still gonna come in, but for now, as far as the restoration plan for now, until the septic system is in, right? Because I'm gonna be digging a septic system and hopefully this works. I can spread where the top end is, where the trees got removed. I'll get some mulch hay and I'll put it all, mulch straw, not hay, because straw works better. And spread it across the top so that it stabilizes anything. Right now, it's wood chips underneath all of that. So it's pretty stable, but if you want me to put something else down on it, I have no problem with that. That
Don,
works.
I have a question, Don. Let's say it's 6 months before he can do the construction or the digging. Will mulch hay be sufficient?
Well,
Don?
what's gonna happen is all that stuff it's gonna wash, wood chips float. So does straw, so does hay. But the thing is he's talking about, he's gonna be working in the area with equipment to put in a septic tank. And he's right, you just be ripping up everything that he just planted. On the other hand, a lot of that stuff is gonna sprout and grow. There's been shade there for years and years and years. And now that it's all open sun, that's going to jump up in the springtime. There's going to be some 3-foot tall grass there by the time he's done.
Okay, thanks.
And just one thing that might, in terms of getting a restoration plan and saying April, is that I don't see any issue with submitting a plan and then have modifications to that plan. I believe the commission would be able to accept modifications as they arose. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Great.
So if the commission wants to say April, Joe, do you feel like you could draft something for April and then with the understanding that there might need to be modifications?
I'll draft, but I just wanted to make sure I get everything clear as far as what the board wants and making sure that everything works for all of us and what's in the best interest of stuff. That's all. And I don't mind putting, like Don was saying, is that a lot of stuff that's underneath there, even though right now it doesn't look, all the smaller brush that was underneath the trees, even though it's been packed, is all going to start growing. And like you give it sunshine, and I'm going to have a field in there probably sooner than you think.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
I mean, everything that's there, because none of the real ground. The only place that it got disturbed is in a small area where they did the actual perk test. And as far as water erosion, the water goes on the other ends, on the far ends of the property. There's already a means for the water to go that's already been there.
So Chair, just so you're aware, we're 1 minute after the time scheduled for opening the hearing for the ANRAD for Pratt West. So I don't know if the applicant or the Joe Salvador and the commission would be willing to decide on the enforcement order and make a vote.
Yeah, could somebody make a motion?
Yeah, sure. I move that we issue an enforcement order for 31 Lakeview Road. with what we discussed tonight.
I seconded.
Second,
Sorry, who was the second?
Well, wait,
Mary's,
is this with the April, coming back in April?
Yes.
Okay,
So April 8th is the second Thursday.
okay.
So I can,
Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. That was a good catch.
Hey, Liam, can I
Yeah.
ask a question? If I have any questions, can I call on you in case I have any questions on my end? Can I, is it something I can ask you for your assistance on?
Yeah, sure. Between Tessa and me, we can definitely assist you.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. I will get a hold of you because there's a couple things I just want to ask when I write this thing out that maybe you can guide me through it in the right way so I make sure that everything is done the way you want it done.
Okay, great. So we'll just do a quick roll call. So David,
yay.
DeFont,
Aye.
Harrington,
aye.
and Cregan, aye. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and open up.
just one, I mean, I
Oh.
think, so sorry to interrupt, Chair. I will need to get signatures. So if people can still see the form, I just will start typing in names and then we can move on.
Sounds good.
Okay, everybody, have a good night.
Thank you very much.
You too.
Or maybe I'll sit in and listen in for somebody. I like listening to the meetings anyways. Thank you. Before I shut off my mic, I just want to say thanks, everybody.
No problem.
Leon, and I'll be getting a hold of you.
Sounds good, Joe.
All right, so everyone witnessed their name being put in. I'm going to save that and stop
Yes.
screen sharing.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Are there really only 4 of us?
Yes.
Only so far, right?
Again.
Only for now. So
All right.
thank you.
So it's 7:49 now, and we're gonna reopen the public hearing for the ANRAD at ZW6, lot ZW6, Pratt Corner Road West. So with this ANRAD, my memory serves me as saying that we're just waiting on an updated legend from TRC to do the ORAD. Does that sound right, Maria?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. As we discussed some edits that were needed in the legend, we made those. We provided the updated plan back on the 24th, right before Christmas. And at the last meeting, you had actually gone through the whole ORAD form and already had the statement of fact filled out and such. So this was just to make sure that you had the updated revised version before officially issuing anything.
Yes, and have commissioners had a chance to review the map with the updated legend?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So it sounds like this is just a matter of making a motion to approve that we issued the ORAD.
And then get the signatures again.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
Is this a situation where the only commissioners that can vote are the ones that were in the public hearings from the very beginning?
No. No, this is the same situation that you were in when you voted on the Pratt East one, which
Okay.
also allowed you, the new commissioners, to vote because essentially the very first meeting that was had, there was really no discussion. It was, hey, here's this new application. We're going to have it peer reviewed. We'll talk to you another time. So there was really no discussion that was missed out on.
All right. Just want to be clear about that. Thanks.
Okay, great. Does anyone want to make a motion?
So I'll make a motion, I guess, to accept the new maps with all the corrected legends.
I
As pre-
second. Harrington second.
All right, do you think, is that good enough? Is that clear enough for a motion, Tessa, or should we talk about the ORAD too?
I think
I
you
think
do
we have
need
to
to
vote on
include
the
the
ORAD.
ORAD that you're
Yeah.
issuing the
So it'd
ORAD.
be that we accept the corrected or we approve the ORAD with the corrected legends
And the findings, I guess, just.
and findings. Right.
All right,
Okay,
Miriam,
then
do you
I
want?
make a motion to accept all of that then. The ANRAD with the corrected legends and what was the last one?
The findings that
And the
were,
findings that we corrected.
We're not
Great.
accepting an ORAD, we're approving an ORAD, right?
Correct.
yes.
Prove.
Approving issuance, whatever.
All right, I'll second that. And then we'll just do a roll call. David,
Yes.
Stefan,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
and Cregan, aye.
Let me share screen. So I can show
Tessa,
you.
usually the DEP recommends that you actually write out all of the wetland flag numbers, like wetland flag 1 through 20, and then wetland flag B, 1 through 80, or whatever it is. I know there must be a lot of them for your particular thing, but that's usually what they recommend.
So Mark Stinson actually attended the last meeting where this
Yeah.
was discussed,
Yeah.
helped write the statement of fact,
Oh,
etc.
okay.
I think that we're all very comfortable with what's in there and that it's acceptable the way it is.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just trying to do the minutes and screen share at the same time. Yeah, the findings, which I can, does the commission, would they like to see the findings before signing one last time? They're the same. The findings have not changed from last meeting. But we can look at
I
that.
don't need to.
I'm okay.
I'm
But
okay.
maybe going forward, we should follow Janice's guidance and for future ORADs, make sure that we are putting in the delineation flags into the findings.
Can you
It
just,
does mention accepting all flags except for number 11 for one of
Okay.
the streams.
Mhm.
So it does
that's good.
state
Yeah.
that they were,
Okay, great.
but I am happy to double check with Mark. He was there at the meeting, but
Can you just show the findings on the screen? Can you do that quickly?
yes.
Okay, thanks.
I mean,
I think it
have
had something to do with the status of the streams and some other stuff too, right?
I have to stop sharing to reshare. So,
Yeah.
um,
You're pretty good at this.
I'm getting faster, but it does take a moment. Well, for me to get the right. Sorry. Jinxed. Let's see. There we go.
Oh, it does have it.
Is that large enough for people to read?
Yes.
It does have it. Thanks.
Good.
Yes, and what was talked about was the fact to divide up what is covered under the town bylaws versus the Wetland Protection Act and the town bylaws.
Okay, good.
All right, so I'll switch back. So just going slowly so you can see the form. Oh. Oops, and I put that's, I was still on the. So it's modified. I have put in all the modification dates for the different maps. And again, does the commission feel ready for me to put in names?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
What? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so it's
Oh,
3
you're supposed
minutes.
to celebrate now.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
onward.
Only 4 more to
I
go.
know, 2 down, 4 to go.
Got to celebrate every little
So,
milestone.
yeah. So I guess we should talk about 3 Shore Drive as well, if we can squeeze it in 2 minutes. This is the tree cutting that Mary took a picture of. And Tessa attached the site visit form, which I filled out. And my memory is not great of this site visit. So Robin, I was wondering if you could summarize what we saw there.
What I remember is showing up, and they had lots of trees, and they pointed out the ones that they wanted to take down. We had just done a whole bunch of site visits where people wanted to take down trees, and this seemed perfectly reasonable. They were willing to leave the stumps. There were a certain number of trees that they were taking down. I can't remember, 3 or 5, or it wasn't a ton of them. But none were right on the lake. And anyway, I remember leaving there feeling like if they cut the trees and left the stumps, that they were going to be fine.
Yeah, I'm looking at the address now. This is on the corner of Lakeview and Shore Drive. And yeah, I
Right.
do remember these trees. It was like 5 white pines, and they were mostly on the house side, on the street side, not on the lake
Right.
side of the house.
Right.
So I didn't see the stumps in the pictures, but I presume they were left in.
Yeah, I didn't, like I said, I was driving by and it looked like a lot of trees and I didn't remember the work. And a lot of the grindings was still on the ground around the property, and I'm not sure if it got dumped, some of it got dumped in the lake. So it was more a question, you know,
Okay.
It just seemed like a lot of trees and.
Well, I'm thinking because they were so large that would account for a lot of, you know, the sawdust and the branches and whatever. But when we were there, we really had no problem as long as they left the stumps in and got rid of the wood and prevented soil erosion.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think there's cause for concern.
Okay, thanks.
Does the tree warden, because I believe there was communication, do you know about that site, 3 Shore Drive?
I did not know about that site, but it sounds like they were trying to thin the canopy to get more sunlight down to the ground, which is kind of like what everybody does around the lake. They try to get rid of the shade in some places and keep the shade in other places. I mean, just about everything that you cut down that's large pine in there, there's a risk because it's mature pine trees near the lake. We've had a lot of damage from pines going down around the lake and on those roads in particular. So think of it as preventative maintenance.
All right.
Thank you. And with that, if the chair wants to open the second hearing.
Yeah, so it's 8:01 and we'll reopen the public hearing for the ANRAD at lot ZD 37, Montague Carver Road. And I believe we are going to just continue this hearing to a future date. Maria, do you want to just say what that date is?
So yeah, I had sent an email earlier in the week asking for a continuance because we clearly haven't given you any updated plans yet. And my thought in the email that I sent was perhaps the March or April meeting. But I've kind of lost track of how much you have on your agendas for those meetings, so I wasn't really sure what your preference would be right now. If you have room on the March meeting, that would be great, but I think there are maybe a few things on there already.
What
My
do we
sense
have?
is the March one is more packed right now, but I'm not sure.
So this is Tessa. I have the list open on the town website, and I would have to double check what we just, well, no, because we closed. So there are two for the February one, as well as there's the ANRAD at lot 151. And then March definitely has the Pratt South. I think, and there might, I don't know what.
Isn't Dan Mitchie's ANRAD also in March?
Yeah, in February, but that one might also be continued. So April, I think, would be the preference. Likely, depending on what the commission says.
Fine with me.
I think I'm for April. Any other thoughts?
April's fine with me.
I'm fine.
Fine.
Okay. So I'll make,
The first, yeah, so
oh yeah.
Liam, do you know when it switches over to 2 meetings in the month? Is it May?
That's a question I should know the answer to. It's April or May.
Let me see if I can see it on the town website. Let's see.
Okay.
Well, either way, we'd prefer the first one in April since
Okay.
we're
Okay.
not going to.
The first one is the 8th, as I put in the enforcement order.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that, oh, we got to talk about time too. What time should we think about for this?
We've been doing 7:30 or 8 often. I don't think anything else is scheduled for that agenda yet, so 8 would allow the commission to fill in before that, but
Do you have to confirm this also with Emily Stockman?
No. Oh, wait, maybe I misunderstood your question. So this site is weird. We had a site, Emily did actually review it, and there were so many new wetlands that they expanded the site. So we actually need to give you updated plans so that Emily can give you a new proposal to review the new part of the site.
So
which is
Emily hasn't done her review yet.
right, because nobody has received the updated plans for the new area.
Okay. Right, of course. Right.
Oh.
So do we need to check in with Emily to make sure this is reasonable for her, that she'll be able to do her review by then?
No.
I think it's,
If it doesn't happen, then we just request a continuance.
I
Okay.
doubt that she'd have it done by April. That could be still snowy or icy.
We
probably
did
wanna wait.
confirm at a prior meeting that it did not require a meeting to have us get the proposal because you've already voted to have everything peer reviewed, that we would just get the proposal and pay for it, and then it would be at Emily's discretion whether or not she felt conditions were appropriate to go out.
So where is the additional area? Is it off of Carver or off of Montague or what?
We really
It's-
can't discuss that at this meeting because we're requesting a continuance.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry, like
That's right.
I don't mean to be a pain, but like I
Yeah.
don't want to break the rules here either.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. Thanks, Maria. So with that in mind, does 8 p.m. sound good to the rest of the commission on April
Yes.
8th?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we continue this public hearing to the April 8th Concom meeting at 8 p.m.
I'll second.
In the motion.
Sorry,
Karen.
can you names for the second?
Robin
Mary will second.
Harrington, second.
Thank you.
All right, roll call. David,
Aye.
DeFont,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Cregan, aye. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so looks like next up is South Biking Trails.
And Phil Parker was on the line. Hopefully he's hung in there.
Yep, I'm back. Yep, I'm here.
um,
Okay.
Representing the
This is
interest in the
Southbrook.
biking trail.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like a proposal, kind of an idea to run by you guys and get your feedback on and see what we need to do to get permission or whatever to move forward. So what we'd like to do is build some mountain bike trails in the Southbrook Conservation Area, maybe a couple miles. It's still kind of up in the air exactly how much to build, but are you guys familiar with the area? It's got that snowmobile trail that kind of cuts through it going north south, and a couple other hiking trails. But it's a nice, it's a beautiful forest area with very wide spacing between most of the trees, and then there's a couple of rhododendron patches and everything. So it's very easily to build trails there because the trees are so spread out and far apart from each other. So it's really nice terrain for mountain biking. Right now, like I said, it's got that snowmobile trail where a lot of people use it for walking and hiking and running. And the reason I'm proposing mountain bike trails is because in my opinion, using it for both mountain biking and walking is a little bit difficult. You occasionally see some mountain bikers on there, but the speeds that mountain bikers go it's a little bit dangerous to have the mountain bikers on the same trails as the walkers and the hikers. So the reason I'm proposing building some new trails just for the mountain bikers is has a lot to do with the safety, so that people who are walking, walking their dogs or whatever on that snowmobile trail, it's kind of segregate the users so that they're kind of mountain bikers are on one set of trails and the hikers on the other trails. So I think it'd be a little bit safer out there. Plus, mountain bike trails are meant to be kind of up and down and a lot of zigging and zagging and over the terrain and stuff. And we'd like to build some trails that are specific to bikes to make them more enjoyable to ride. So I sent an email to Penny, I guess, who used to be on your board. And she suggested I come here to talk to you guys. So that's kind of the big picture about what I'd like to do and why I'm looking to do it. But
Do you have a
I
map?
don't know, it's my first time doing this sort of thing. So, whatever you guys, what do we need to do to move forward?
Well, do you have any maps of what you want to propose?
No, I don't. I mean, that would be helpful if I had, got some maps from you guys. I could show you where, kind of pencil out where I had some ideas to do the trails. So is there some sort of map I could use to put some trails on?
You've got to stay outside the buffer zones for wetlands.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Don't want to go through wet areas. Don't want to ride through wet areas. Want to keep the trails high and dry.
Well, you're not allowed
So if you
to.
could give
You're
me
not
some
allowed
maps
to.
that showed them where the wetlands are, and I could, pencil in some ideas of where we could put some mountain bike trails.
I think you'll have to
How
come up with a map.
How
Yeah.
does this interface with Penny's CPC proposal? Because I thought, oh my God, help. I thought Penny had also submitted a proposal to the CPC for that parcel.
So Penny actually submitted a proposal to fund mapping of the current trails and to create, it sounds maybe like a kiosk map for hikers to use at a trailhead.
Mhm.
And she did not receive funding for that project, but
Really?
I think, Phil,
Yeah.
you received funding because it's building trails rather than mapping trails, right? I don't
Well,
really
I
know how
have-
CPC works.
No, I've they have a two-phase method for giving the grants, and I passed phase 1, so now I got to submit to phase 2, and they said I need to get your guys' permission to submit for phase 2 to get a grant to build the trails. And as part of my proposal, I wanted to do some mapping and some trail signage.
It's really hard to talk about this without having you submitting a request for determination or a NOI, because this has to be we oversee this piece of property, and we are responsible for it, and it has to go through the permitting process. Don?
So that's what he would do. He would submit an RDA, but he'd have to take a GPS and go out and actually do a route with a GPS that that he could share with Tessa for the RDA.
What's an RDA?
It's a request for determination of applicability. It's an avenue for the commission to confirm that you do or do not need an actual permit. But with respect to your question about where you could potentially get some maps, it's not 100% what's out there, but it's a good starting point is to go on Mass Oliver and look at the wetland layers that are mapped on there. That will give you at least a place to start. Otherwise, the only way to figure out where the wetlands are is to ground truth it, and that can be pretty time intensive. So with respect to avoiding wet areas on your map, that's
so there's maps at, what's it called, Mass Oliver?
Yeah, if you Google Mass Oliver, Oliver is Massachusetts GIS system, and there are a whole bunch of different layers that you can pull up in there. Several layers that you'd want to look at are the Mass DEP wetlands layers. You would want to look at the NWI, which is the National Wetland Inventory layers, and USGS has ponds and stream layers as well. And all of those, if you search in the layers that are there, they will all come up for you and you can see them.
This is Tessa. I can help both with getting you an RDA form. That's the request for determination of applicability, the Department of Environmental Protection permitting, and giving you a link for Mass Oliver, since we use it frequently. The question I have is, when is the due date for the second phase of the grant?
Oh, the grant is due in February something, I believe. Yeah.
So can I ask a question? Because this is separate from the RDA, and I guess it depends. It's a question about our jurisdiction over this tract of land because it's under Concom supervision. My understanding is that we're responsible for that piece of property under the town. So I guess the question is, don't we, aside from the RDA, should we be making a decision about whether we as a commission want to have this kind of trails?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's even apart from the RDA process. It's kind of like we're the landowner, and we sort of have to give our consent in addition to the RDA process.
Right. So I think right now we should be thinking about this as the idea of mountain biking trails on Southbrook Conservation Area. So like basically what you just proposed, Miriam, is do we want this at all? And then if we want that, we can give our blessing to Phil. And I think that would be enough for you to go on to stage 2 of the funding process. And then we could maybe talk down the line about the permitting process, actually talking about the routes that you want to create. And then we can get into kind of the nitty gritty wetland stuff. I feel like that would be the process we want to take here.
I know that one of the concerns that Penny raises is a small piece of land. It's full of wetlands and there are already hiking trails. So there's not a lot of area for further development without sort of affecting the quality of the other areas.
Well, I don't know about that. You know, you know, I live right next to it. I live in the near Lake Wyola, in that little area there where all the houses are. And I walk in that conservation area probably 2 or 3 times a week. And so I'm very familiar with the land and, you know, where the existing trails are, where the wetlands are, and where some of the streams are and all that. And you know, the mountain bike trails that I would like to build would be, I think there's definitely enough land to put in some trails. I mean, I don't think it's going to be an extensive network. I think it's a question of maybe, you know, 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 miles of trails. I mean, I don't know, but a lot of it depends on this mapping, where the, you know, the wetland zone and where that, how much of a buffer we have to have. But I think there's definitely room for it. And you know, the whole idea is to kind of not segregate, but you know, to kind of have different zones. You know, there's walking trails and then have mountain bike trails, but having them separate so that there's not, you know, mountain bikers running over walkers or something like that. I mean, so that's the whole idea, is to make it safer and easily accessible for different types of users. And that's kind of like the vision. And I, you know, there's plenty of land there's a lot of ridge lines and stuff that would be ideal for mountain biking, because the mountain bikers, you like kind of like a flowy terrain, stuff going up and down and you know, around corners and stuff like that. So you want a kind of a flowy sort of terrain, and there's great terrain, and there's huge patches of land that have no existing trails on them right now, and that are high and above like the swampy areas. So I
guess what I'd like to see is to have you come back with a map, have it mapped out to show us.
Sure, yeah.
With the wetlands and how many miles and how does it, I guess what I'd like to see is the relationship between the proposed mountain bike trails and the existing trails as well. Because it's really, you know, including the snowmobiling trail, all of that, because it's really hard to talk about in the abstract. And I guess I sort of feel like we should be approving this before you go to the RDA process. I don't know if other commissioners have thoughts about that, but.
I agree. Yeah, and I think that when it sounds like, Phil, to get the funding to build the trails, you need to get that approval from us anyway, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a chicken and egg thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got to get everybody's approval one way or another. So, you know, this is my first time doing this stuff, so I'm just kind of learning as I go. But yeah, I mean, I can't draw a map from start. So I have something to work with. So maybe this Oliver thing's got, you know, the thing I could work with, and I don't know, get a GPS or something so I can get the exact coordinates or whatever.
I think you could do it on a smartphone.
Yeah, you can map on, you can use, yeah, there's an app called Gaia, or there's a couple apps you can use on a smartphone to map trails or map routes that you potentially want to become trails. And we could talk more about that. Tessa and I, before this meeting, were actually discussing the idea of just going out to do just that for the existing trails, at least to kind of get a digitized map, not necessarily something that would be posted for hikers, but then it would give the commission an opportunity to kind of have context, and we could send that to you, and then you could go out and maybe add to that context with your ideas for the trail.
Sure.
So I have a comment or two. This is Janice. I'm a little worried that this is the first time you're doing this. because I've worked with NIMBA before, and they have a whole set, the New England Mountain Bike Association, they have a whole set of standards and procedures for building trails so that they don't get eroded, that they're not crossing sensitive areas, that if you have a stream crossing, that they do that properly. So I'm just worried that you're sort of starting from scratch and that perhaps you need more expertise before you put in a trail system there. And that also you put in 1 or 2 trails and then more people will be on the trails and then they say, oh, let's turn right here and let's go left here. And pretty soon the trails are no longer just the trails and people are everywhere. I mean, I guess that could happen now in a sense, but how do you maintain the trails? Who's going to maintain the trails? Because some of them will get, eroded, or people try to do shortcuts, so they'll take a shortcut across the stream or something like that. How are you going to maintain those trails and make sure that people are not going through the wetlands?
Yeah, good questions. Yeah, certainly I can look up the NEMBA trail building guidelines or whatever, but just to give you an idea of my background, I've been I worked in ski areas for a number of years, and one of those ski areas I had extensive mountain bike trails, which I was involved with. So I do have experience building trails. It's the application process and everything that I'm unfamiliar with, but the trail building stuff I am very familiar with. And so
good.
Been involved with doing that, and an outdoor lover myself, very sensitive to erosion control and designing the trails well, and making sure that people stay on them and having appropriate signage, and just making the trails easy to follow. And there's a lot of things you can do in terms of placing logs or whatever to keep people on trails and make sure they're not cutting across sensitive areas. So
good.
There's a lot we can do there to make sure that the environment and the land is protected, and I'm definitely on board with that.
Good.
Okay, I'm wondering what the best way to move forward is. Do you think that it would be possible to discuss this a little bit more, like at the next meeting? And Tess and I can maybe make a time to try to do some mapping of the existing trails. Do you think that would work for you, Phil?
Well, yeah, I just, one of the things I wanted to do was just take your guys' temperature on this whole idea. Is this something that you guys are interested in? Is this something that's feasible and that you want to move forward? Or is this something that, well, yeah, but we're not really that interested? So because I don't want to spend a lot of time if there's really no way that nobody's going to want any trail. So if I can just get some temperature of what's going on and what's your guys some feedback, is this something that it's even going to move forward? So
I think they want visual so that they can figure that out.
I think it's really hard to answer that, Phil, without seeing it, without seeing how it would relate to wetlands. And honestly, there's a difference between a 1 mile trail and a 4 mile trail, which you just mentioned. So I feel like those are very different things. If you were talking about like packing that whole tract of land with as many crisscrossing trails as you could squeeze in, that would be concerning to me. Just, I can say, I don't know how other people feel, but if we're talking about something that is modest and doesn't affect, the experience of people who are walking on the other trails and keeps away from the wetlands, that might be more doable.
Okay.
I find it, I just can't even judge right now.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough.
I kind of agree with that. I don't have any objection, and I think trails would be a good idea, but not knowing what it looks like on the land or where it would be, that would be helpful to see if this is the right place for it to be.
I know that's asking you to do some work without any assurances, but I feel like, maybe we can help you in a sense by creating some mapping that you can work off of.
And that would be a super big help. If I could get like a large map on paper with all these wetlands and ponds and streams and everything on it, then I could work on penciling in some ideas of where the trails would go, and this, what is it, the smartphone app or whatever, to figure out the lengths and it's hard to tell when you're walking in the woods. It's hard to tell, have I gone half mile, am I gone 3/4 mile? It's sometimes hard to tell just how long the trails will be.
And one thing I liked in your description was having the trails be very narrow, sort of kind of restricting what was going on and how many bikes could go along at one time.
Oh yeah, it's called single track trails. That's the terminology, and it just means one bike at a time. So, when you think about the trails, it's not going to be like that snowmobile. I'm not proposing the snowmobile trail at all.
No.
It's just something very narrow that only one bike rider at a time can go on.
Yeah.
So it's
That's-
just a
I
very
think-
my whole proposal is to do a very low impact work. I mean, it's all hand tools, that sort of thing. Nothing big there.
Right.
So this is Tessa. Who would be doing the long term? Since if it is just hand tools, I can imagine the trees that the proposal described trimming would regrow their branches.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, there'll be a little bit of that, and the stuff, the big work will be just clearing stuff that falls down, the dead wood that falls down, the branches, and occasionally you'll have a whole tree will come down and it'll across the trail. I mean, like right now, when on the snowmobile trail, that's what you see every, like once a month or every other month, a tree will come down across it. So that's probably the big work. And the people I've been talking to, some of my friends who are interested in helping out, will probably form some sort of a club, and it'll just be, a couple of people in the neighborhood here, or maybe some people around town that want to join in and help out with the construction and the maintenance. And I don't think this will be a big thing, because it's not I'm not proposing like a 20-mile network of trails. It's going to take days and years to construct, and then it'll attract people from miles around all across the state. It's just a small thing of trails. It should be easy to build, easy to maintain, and it'll just attract local people to it. Any other questions for me, or guidance and suggestions?
Well, I think if you can put in writing also, like when you get to that point of a proposal, what you propose for long-term maintenance.
Okay.
And I don't know if the Concom would want to have anything approved if they're cutting trees down in the future after the trail's been constructed. I don't know if that's something we need to be concerned about or not. Guess it depends on where you put things. If you cut them down, if you throw them in, if somebody cuts them down and throws all the brush into a nearby wetland, then that would be a problem.
No, I'm not proposing cutting down any tree. No, I'm not proposing cutting down any trees for these trails. The only trees we would cut down would be, dead trees that are on the ground already.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying is, if let's say a tree is leaning across the trail and someone needs to cut it, and they go, oh, I've got this pile of stuff I have to move, I'll just roll it downhill into a wetland. That would be a problem, for example.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
You can't dump that stuff into a wetland. And so, if anybody's doing trail maintenance, they probably would need to know where the wetlands are and be communicating with us.
Okay. Yeah.
Am I right? I'm new on this. Don, you're nodding. Somebody.
Well, so you guys know who does the maintenance on that trail right now, right? That's me. So I'm supposed to go out there in the springtime. The town has asked me to go through the trail and cut out some of those trees that are out there that are across the trail. And I would love nothing better than a small group of volunteers to go out and do the similar thing on this trail system. I think that's a great idea.
You don't
I
want to
think
do it?
you should probably approach other committees as well. You know, the Open Space Committee and the Recreation Committee, when they do meet, might have some input.
Mhm. Okay, sure.
Don,
yeah.
are there emails? Is the Recreation Committee and the Open Space, do they have an email on the town website? Do you know?
They do. I'm not sure if they're maintained though.
Well, Penny Jakes, I think the Open Space Committee is Penny Jakes and Gail Fleischicker right now. So
Think so.
I would say Penny Jakes' email, if you have it, would be the person to go to.
Yeah, it sounds like
She's
we
already
all
kind
kind
of
of
doing
support
it.
the idea in theory, but we need a little more context to fully be on board.
Okay. Okay,
So yeah, let's
what are
definitely
my
stay in
next
touch.
what are my next steps here? Someone,
GPS your trail. Flag
I
it.
think-
Start with flagging it, I guess, right?
Yeah, that would be awesome if, and then we can, yeah, if you wanted to flag a trail, Phil, we could just arrange a site visit to go look at it. That would be really great. And I am interested. I've actually not really been out to this area before, so just to get myself some context, that would be great, and to understand where the other trails are. But if you wanted to get out there and flag a route, you can definitely do that.
okay, it'd be helpful if I had the mapping so I knew where the wetlands are. And how far do I need to stay away from them? Is it 100 feet or something, or what's the?
You don't need to stay away from them necessarily, but if you're going to do work within 100 feet or in a wetland, you'll need to put in an application. And that's the RDA or a notice, the request for determination or the notice of intent that we were talking about earlier. So
Okay.
if you were going to, you know, say propose a bridge crossing or, you know, something like that, then that would probably be paperwork.
And you're
Okay.
not going to get the wetland information from any GIS mapping. You're going to have to end up doing it on the ground. You can have it as a basic background, but it won't have the intermittent streams, the vernal pools, and the other things that are out there.
Okay, well, that was one of my questions is, so there's streams that are just seasonal there. I mean, do those count as wetlands or there's,
Yes.
so everything that's wet? Okay, and so anytime I want to
Wet.
cross that stream, build a little bridge, that's a permit.
So
Yes.
in the 100-foot buffer zone, I thought with the town bylaw, that was a resource area and it was like a no-touch zone. You can actually work in it?
Well, if it was a no-touch zone, then no one would be able to do work along the lake.
Okay.
Right. So it's just it's more, and the work that Phil's proposing isn't necessarily going to be extremely ecologically impactful. So it's more a matter of us being able to say that you need to take certain measures to ensure that these resources are protected.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yep. So yeah, I think Phil, if you wanted to go, we can send you a map with the wetlands and just for
Okay.
context, and then you can get out on your own and also take a look at things yourself and just kind of flag a route that looks good. And then once you start to kind of figure out what you want to see in the trail, then we can maybe go from there and maybe talk about paperwork if it's necessary. But I think for now, we really do need to see a route to kind of move forward.
Oh, yeah, sure, I understand. Yeah, no problem. So how do I get this map then?
We can, Tessa, are you interested? Are you able to send it to Phil?
So I can definitely help with the Mass GIS Oliver side of things.
Okay.
And then, which, as Janice Stone pointed out, is a approximation of where the wetlands are. So Mass GIS is generally based off aerial maps. So it's not on the ground mapping, which is why there's some room for error. But it is a place to start for sure. And I can help get that to you.
Okay, sounds good.
The wetlands have not been flagged out in this tract, have they?
No.
No.
I would be surprised since the trails even aren't. So,
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Well, I
well,
think-
thank you very much.
thank you. I'll be in
Yeah,
touch.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right. So lot 151 ANRAD peer review proposal.
Where is that?
Oh, is this an old agenda?
No, it's on there, but I don't know where lot 151 is in town.
Oh, so that's
On
yeah,
Leverett
that's the
Road.
one we talked about right before,
The Whiteman.
earlier today.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna
damn.
move
We're
this
gonna
to
be moving
February.
that to the next
okay.
meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
This is being continued?
That's gonna be continued.
Okay.
Okay.
So we don't have a proposal before us?
No, not
All right, thanks.
not yet.
Okay.
Hard to keep track of all these.
But we
They come up-
do have proposals for Leverett and Pratt West ANRADs.
Right.
Yes.
Pratt South.
So let's talk about Pratt South, excuse me. And
Yeah.
it says Pratt West on the agenda, but it is Pratt South. We just issued no ad for Pratt West.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry for that.
There are too many Pratt Corner roads. We're sorry.
It's okay.
We didn't pick the names.
So we do have two proposals before us. They were sent along with the agenda last night by Tessa. The one for Leverett Road is estimated 1 field day, total cost estimate of $22.50. The one for Leverett or Pratt South is estimated 2 field days with a total cost estimate of $3,500. So does that sound good on your end, Maria?
Yeah, that's fine with us. We have a meeting with the applicant tomorrow morning, so having the totals for that meeting is just going to help us get the costs approved more quickly so that we can get checks in the mail for you.
Okay, sounds good. So do we need to do anything else with this?
Oh, I
We have
guess
no motion.
a vote, yeah, voting
We gotta
to
vote.
approve those proposals.
It's probably
Okay.
two different motions, right? Because we're talking about two
That
different things.
for clarity, that wouldn't hurt.
Okay, I move that we approve the Leverett Road ANRAD peer review proposal as submitted with Emily Stockman Associates.
Harrington second.
All right, roll call. David,
Aye.
DeFont,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Cregan, aye. Okay. I'll go ahead and move that we approve the Pratt South proposal for from Emily Stockman.
Harrington second.
Okay. David,
Aye.
DeFont,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Cregan, aye.
Thank you.
All right.
And Maria, I can, as soon as the meeting's over, I can email those to you.
That'd be great. I have a question for everyone because I'm not actually in Shutesbury. Do you have snow right now? I drove through over the weekend to go hiking somewhere else, and it looked like maybe there was some snow, but it was really hard to tell how much was there.
Got some today. It's just frosting, but it's snow
Dusting, yeah.
covered. And then we got sleet.
Mhm.
Yeah, the rain was washing it away pretty quick.
Yeah, and anywhere people have been walking is really icy, but that doesn't really affect your work as much, Maria.
Yeah, no, we were out with Emily at another site I think it was last month. And we were generally able to see things, but there was a little bit more snow than both we and Emily was hoping were there. So we've just been like kind of waiting for the snow to melt because we're all very comfortable without snow. The weather's been so odd that it's like, well, did it melt or did it not melt? And Emily and I are both far enough away from the site that we don't really know without checking in with someone who's local about what it really looks like.
Yeah, a little snowy.
Okay.
Not too bad. Definitely snow on the ground though.
All right. No, I just wanted to double check since we're going to be getting checks to you. So if the snow actually goes away, then we'd love to know because we would like to at least do a preliminary visit to see how far off the wetlands may or may not be. But if there's a lot of snow, then we will just hold off.
It's hard to say. I wouldn't say there's a lot. Maybe if you have a site visit date in mind, you could reach out to us and we could get back to you on the conditions.
And it's the ice too. It's not just the snow. I have a 400-foot dirt driveway that angles down to my house. We hardly have any snow, and I have to use my trekking poles to get up and down the driveway before I go walking down the street after lunch.
Wow.
So it's pretty, site specific.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, when we went out, there was probably 3, maybe 4 inches of snow in some areas, and that was just a little bit too much for us. If there's an inch or less, then that's much easier to get through, but we felt like there was a little too much to really see the topography as well as we wanted to while we were out there. So
I would say right now there's about an inch or less, right? Is it like that up in Shutesbury? I was up in the Pelham Hills today.
Yeah, we have not much snow, but it's the ice underneath that is treacherous.
Well, there's supposed to be rain on Saturday, so whatever we have might be long gone. It's hard to know.
Fingers crossed.
Well, we'll check in because we have to get you checks before we can actually schedule any kind of date. So we'll check in to see what happens in the next week or so with respect to weather, because you never know.
Okay.
You.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll get the proposals to you at the end after the meeting ends.
Okay. Thanks. Talk to you again sometime.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
And I believe we have at least 3 of the 3 applicants and Don. So I believe all 4 applicants are on the call,
All 4?
I believe.
I think one might have gone away.
Let's see.
We've got Barbara and Don.
And Michael.
And Michael.
Yeah, so maybe Julia Connor might have had to leave.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
We have 2 vacancies. Well, first a question. 2 vacancies or 1?
Just one.
One.
So one's really a process comment, and one is more substantive. And the process comment is that in the past, when Mary and I came onto the commission, the policy was that we asked applicants to attend at least 3 meetings before they would be considered. And so I think that was a good recommendation, and I hope that we can agree to continue that process with this vacancy. So that was one, and that's a question I guess we should reaffirm because it's not written in law anywhere. And then the other more substantive comment I wanted to make has to do with the comments that came up with around Don at the last meeting. And I didn't have my thoughts organized well enough to say something at the meeting, but I wanted to say that everybody is entitled to their opinions about people's interpersonal styles. But my experience, I've known Don for several years, is that he's a smart, reasonable, hardworking, conscientious person who has his heart in the right place for the town and knows more about wetlands and hydrology and soil science than probably anybody I know in Shutesbury, and has a very solid understanding of Concom jurisdiction. So I would just hope that we would not, everybody can have a bad day, and we may not all agree that we like each other or we like each other's interpersonal styles, but I hope we can make a decision based on what's best for the commission and best for the town. Personally, I support strongly our approving and supporting Don's coming on to the commission. I think given the ANRADs coming up and the complexity of some of the issues we're dealing with, having somebody with his expertise is hard to even measure. But so that's and that is not to say anything negative about the other applicants. I don't know them, and so I don't mean any offense to the other people. Guys might be absolutely great to have on the commission. But I would hope that we would have room for allowing people to have differences in interpersonal styles.
So Miriam, why did he quit then?
Who's asking that?
Robin Harrington.
Why did who quit?
I thought he quit the commission. He'd been on it earlier and he quit.
Are you asking
Don
me,
that.
or are you asking Miriam?
I wouldn't know.
Oh, I guess I'm asking you if.
Okay, so I mean, if we're going to have a discussion about this during a town meeting, which is what this is, and it's recorded, I'll remind you guys that that type of ad hominem attack that happened last time, that wasn't really too cool. But you know what? Penny's known me a long time, and maybe she has good reasons for saying what she did. I quit the committee because my son committed suicide, if you need to know. And it took me a long time to get over that. A lot of years of therapy. And I still experience PTSD. Tessa can certainly attest to that. I can be reactionary. But I think you'd also find that pretty much everyone I've interacted with in town as a tree warden would not say that I have a chip on my shoulder or that I have issues with being rude. In fact, you guys hurt my feelings pretty badly. And, I cried that night. It's never right for a commission or a committee to treat potential members that way. But hey, let's just get away from this whole negative thing right now.
Excuse me, I'm trying, what didn't mean to come down on you. I just asking
it's
a
okay.
question. I'm fairly new. I've
Sure.
never met you before.
Right. And even going to a couple of meetings, you really just don't get to know someone on a computer electronically.
Right.
It's unfair to judge people that way, but that's what we have to work with right now. I had a solution before Penny sort of slammed the door on that last meeting. My suggestion was just have me be an advisory member. There's actually a record for that in Massachusetts with conservation commissions using tree wardens to talk about tree issues. And as an advisory member, you'd still have a seat open on the Concom that you could fill with someone else of your choosing. I feel like I'm sort of, making it hard for the other people that are interested. I'm doing this for the Historic Commission. I'm acting as an advisory member. If they have questions about historic trees, then I'd like to be someone to talk to about that. And that way, I wouldn't be taking up a seat. Maybe the members would be more comfortable that way, interacting with me that way only when needed.
Well, I really appreciate what you're saying, Don, and I agree that, everybody can have their private opinions, but in open meetings, it's really a problem for people to be calling out people's personalities. We can talk about actions, but we shouldn't be talking about people's personalities. That's not really.
I want to point
within-
out, I was not doing that. I was just
No.
asking a question. I'm
No, I
fairly
know
new
that.
on
No,
the
Robin, I
commission.
wasn't saying you were. No.
Okay, okay.
No, I guess I'm commenting on the discussion from the December meeting. And just saying, going forward, we should make decisions about what's best for the commission in terms of what will strengthen us as a commission, rather than focusing narrowly on kind of, it's not a popularity contest, I guess is what I'm saying. It should not be a popularity contest.
Yep.
Right. Well, just so for Barbara and Michael, I think it would be worth just taking a second to talk about what being a commissioner entails.
Yeah.
We talked about the concept of attending a couple meetings before, that will help you decide if it's something that you're still interested in, and it will help us, kind of get to know you a little bit better. But just in a nutshell, the Conservation Commission is something that every town in Massachusetts has to objectively administer the Wetlands Protection Act. And if they have a local wetland bylaw, which Shutesbury does, also administer that. And so what that looks like is, going out on site visits for requests for determination of applicability and notices of intent, which are just types of paperwork for essentially people doing work and talking to them and looking at the site, and then also attending meetings once a month on Thursdays from November through either March or April, and then twice a month the rest of the year. And there are resources out there if you're not familiar with the Wetlands Protection Act and ecology through the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions to kind of get you up to speed. So that's really the role in a nutshell. And by attending this meeting, you kind of see what it looks like on Zoom. What the missing piece is going out to site visits. Are there other commissioners just want to kind of talk about the role and their experience for folks who are unfamiliar?
Well, I would say, I think one of the things that Penny said early on, I think this has been true, it's a steep learning curve. There's a lot of information. And I mean, and I know Mary did this as well. I went to several workshops through the MACC just right off the bat. I bought myself a library of books on wetlands delineations and buffer zones and wetland plants, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been really interesting, and I'm enjoying it, but there's a lot to take in for sure.
Yeah, so really, we would just ask that you continue to attend meetings, and we'll keep talking about the decision that we're going to end up making.
This is Tessa. I just did look it up on the town website. It is from April until, the later end, I think till October, that there's 2
Yeah,
meetings per
I
month.
know it's through October. Thank
So
you.
April through October, there's 2 meetings a month.
Yeah, and that really corresponds to the fact that most projects happen in the summertime and not in the wintertime. Although this winter's been really busy because we have these ANRADs, which is taking up a lot of time at the meetings.
Yeah.
So this is Mary, and I am new to the commission too, so it is a lot to learn, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying learning more about the town and what are the resources and what we have here. So for me, it's helped me get back into the communities and learn a lot about what things and people that I didn't know. And my other one is, can we hear from the I think we heard a little bit from Don, but can we hear from Barbara and it's Michael?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Maybe. How about Barbara first?
Sure. The sound of my computer is sometimes not very good. Is this all right at the moment?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to have that underwater sound. Well, thank you for having us come to the meeting. And I really appreciate that that's part of the process, because I had no idea what kinds of, I had gone to the website, I saw what some of the things are that you're working on, but it was really interesting to hear the conversation and to see the breadth of issues that you deal with. You know, I wrote a brief blurb about my background. I don't know how many of you saw it. My primary interest in this is because of my interest in the preservation of native plants. And I've been or was working at the Native Plant Trust until COVID hit and we were no longer able to do the work there. And the idea of learning more about wetlands is very appealing to me. I am not knowledgeable about that. You know, whether I end up on the commission or not, I probably went because I'm a sort of a bookaholic, and got some books and started reading, and it's interesting, but I can also see why you were talking about it being a very steep learning curve. There's such a large amount to learn. So I am definitely interested, but I do not come in with any depth of knowledge at all when it comes to wetlands or any of the local or state regulations.
Thank you. I wouldn't say it's a requirement that you come in with the knowledge. It's definitely a benefit, a good thing, but it's not a requirement. Definitely what we hope for is, yeah, I guess a commitment to learning the law and learning the ecology too. Michael, are you there?
I'm here. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
All right. So much like Barbara, I don't have a strong familiarity with the law. I have passing familiarity. Also don't tend to be the best public speaker, so bear with me on all of that. My interest is mostly coming from been looking for an opportunity to volunteer with the town and give something back because I really like this place. And Conservation Commission struck my interest just based on someone who spends a lot of time in our outdoors, and I like the idea of being able to help preserve it or at least intelligently manage it where needed. So that's where I'm coming from on that. But
Michael,
as far as
what do you do in when you're not outdoors?
I'm pastry chef.
Ooh.
I work at Greenfields Market.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I make cakes and sweets.
Thank you.
All right.
Does anyone, do either of, or any of the three, Don, you know a lot, so you might not have questions, but does any of the applicants have questions for the commission?
With the site visits and all that, how much time do you think a normal a commitment is to the Conservation Commission? How many hours a month would you think?
Not many. It really depends on how many public hearings we have coming up that we need to do site visits for. So, and like I mentioned, it gets busier in the summer. And we really hope for 2 commissioners at minimum for each site visit. So not every commissioner has to be at each site visit as well. So I would say for 2020, I probably averaged a lot less than 1 hour a week. You know, before each meeting, maybe there would be an hour of site visits at most, and sometimes, we would distribute them throughout the commission. So it's not a huge time commitment, and you usually learn a lot every time you go out, which is great.
That was one of my questions as well. Another question I have is there such a thing as a typical meeting? And if so, was today or is today a typical meeting?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say today has been a typical meeting of late. They've been very packed with a lot of hearings and items to talk about. I don't know. How do other folks feel? I feel like since we've got these ANRADs, each meeting has been very busy.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I listened to a few meetings. This is the first time I listened to the Conservation Commission meeting, but I've been on listening to other meetings in town, and I got to thank all of you, because if you listen to some of the other meetings, my temperature would have been a little bit higher. I'm glad you are all on the meeting. I'm glad you're all doing what you're doing, so I appreciate it. You got a good board. And one last question, Don, I'd like to get a hold of you to talk to you about some trees. I have some questions. Maybe you can help me out with your expertise before I leave. I don't know how to get a hold of you.
So you could just go to the town website and under the tree warden, I don't know if that's in the committees or.
I looked on there, it didn't have any contact after your name.
Okay, well, there should be a phone number there. Do you have a pen?
I didn't see it. Maybe I'll look again, but I was looking for a resource just to get a hold of you, because I'd really like to pick your brain if you got some time.
I advise everybody in town freely for tree and planting and stuff like that. That's part of what I do. Just call me at home. My email address should be on the website, but my phone number is 256.
Wait. I gotta get up. I got a dog. I had a dog. It just lost its legs, so I'm moving him around. Okay, give it to me.
It's 256-673-6736. You can call anytime. That's fine.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm retired, so I have plenty. I got all open time, so I don't know what's a good time to get a hold of you.
Anytime during the afternoon, you'll catch me here at the house. I'm usually here around lunchtime every day.
All right, I'll definitely give you a call. Again, thank you, everybody. I've never met you before. I met Tess, but other than that, I've met a couple of you actually. But you have a good board. So thank you
Joe.
for working for the town, and we'll be in touch. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff.
Bye.
So I'd like to chime in with the question, somebody asked, how long are the meetings usually? And when I joined last October. So October of 19, and I'd attended meetings for a couple of months before that, because they say attend some meetings and see. And they were like maybe an hour long. I think one was maybe just a half an hour. And then I joined, and sort of fast forward, all the ANRAD stuff happened. And then now meetings are between 2 and 3 hours, even if they're twice a month.
So it's your fault.
So you don't know. Yeah, it's my fault, I guess. Thank you, Janice.
I blame Zoom.
So anyway,
Yeah.
Don't attend a few meetings and say, this is how it's going to be, because you don't know.
Oh, Miriam, you're muted.
I was going to say, the ANRADs are complex, and it's a challenge for our commission to be having to, in rapid succession, reviewing very complex development projects, really large-scale development projects, because these ANRADs are being prepared as a prelude to developing these tracts of land that the landowner is going to be putting commercial solar installations on. And I think it's when it's all over, it'll be a lot easier, but it's not going to be over for a while. And I think there's some possibility that some of these may result in NOIs. Isn't that right? In my understanding?
This is Tessa. Yeah, I believe we were told that at least one of them is going to cross a stream.
Right. So that's going to be a whole nother layer of complexity because then we'll be actually looking at an actual development plan and discussing the engineering of that. Right now we're just talking about the wetland delineations. We have a very narrow focus, laser focus, but I remember when there were NOIs before, when there was an NOI before the Concom for the original solar project on Wheelock Tract, I went to all the Concom meetings. I don't know if anybody was there. None of you, Penny remembers me. Penny was here, she remembered me. I went to every single one for like 2 years. So when they said come to 3 meetings, I was like, okay, I'll do that. But I literally was at meetings for 2 years, and it was very time consuming when there was an NOI. So this is actually, the ANRADs are actually simple in comparison, I think.
Mm. Any other questions?
Well, I guess I would wonder what you guys consider to be the hardest part of the work that you're doing and what you consider to be the most satisfactory or the best part of the work that you're doing.
I think the hardest part, like Miriam said, is learning the law and learning how it applies to reality, and also learning the ecology and learning how the two meet in the middle. It's really challenging sometimes, and there are gray areas that you need to ask for help with. There are gray areas where people don't really know the answer, but have a kind of a good answer. So, I mean, that's really the hardest part for me. Yeah, I get, the satisfying part is meeting a lot of sweet people who just want to, I really like going out on site visits and just kind of meeting landowners who have projects on the table. You get a chance to educate them about the value of wetlands, the value of forests, and you also get a chance to just kind of chat and meet them, which I really enjoy.
I think one of the things that's challenging, and I think we'll get through it, but right now I'm a little bit in shock, is that we had a chairperson who had been on the commission for many, many years and just had so much expertise and was such a stabilizing force. I feel like Penny always had an answer for everything and knew everything that we needed. And she's resigned, and Liam is going to be great as a chair. And I hope you don't quit, Liam. When you finish whatever your grad program. I'm a little concerned what we're going to do then, but so we're kind of in this transitional period right now.
And I agree with Liam that it's, this mix of learning the law and learning the ecology. And I came from, a PhD in plant ecology. My master's had to do with wetland ecology, but I had no idea about all the wetland laws. And so it's been a challenge learning them, but it's been very satisfying seeing how it fits into what I know about the environment. So it's extremely gratifying, actually.
It is. It's good to feel like you can actually protect something.
Yes.
There's a lot of things we can't protect these days, but a little wetland we can protect.
Days.
What?
Oh my God.
All right, any more questions?
Nope.
Cool. Well, it was nice meeting Michael, and you, Barbara, and nice to see you again, Don. Hopefully we'll see you all at the next meeting. And obviously feel free to stay on the call as long as you want.
All right, thank you.
But I think we should move on.
I agree.
Okay.
Chair, if it would be helpful, I can highlight the issues that I would prefer get mentioned tonight, and then some of them I think could be moved to a future meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
The fact that it's after 9 already.
Yeah.
So a quick one is that there's an all boards meeting on January 19th. My reading of the description, and I don't know if other board members saw it, my reading of the description is that mainly it's if there's an issue that the Concom has that in terms of remote meetings or that they can highlight, or they can highlight just an overview of what the ConsCom has been doing. But I wondered who on the ConsCom would like to attend, and all of you can attend.
Yeah.
if you-
Usually the chair is the one who goes, but it doesn't have to be the chair.
Exactly, yeah.
I am on the fence about attending. So if there's anyone else who feels motivated to attend, I would not object to them attending in my place.
Hey, Liam.
Yes.
So here's the deal, man. You're the first person that's a non-resident who's chairing a committee. And
Okay.
it's important for you to make a show. You could just do a simple report. You guys could all put together just a report of the stuff that you've done this year, but just so people can see your face and be comforted that there is somebody who's very capable taking care of the committee. And I think everybody would agree with me on the committee that they want you there.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. And that makes me reconsider. So I can attend, and I'll just put together a quick summary of what the commission has been up to since the beginning of 2020 and just introduce myself. And I'll probably have to get on my phone so people can see my face because my webcam broke, but I will do that.
I think that'd be great.
And
Okay.
I think they want it to be brief because all the different departments or committees are there, and they used to say like 3 minutes or something. Otherwise, it goes on all night. So it may be what you think is most important for the people in town to know about what the CONCOM is up to. People probably have questions about the ANRADs.
Right. Yeah, I would
what
imagine.
it's mostly going to be.
Yeah, so I'll try to put together a good summary of where we're at with those and also hit
Yeah,
some other
that's probably it, really.
improvements.
All you have to do is say ANRAD and then have them all ask you questions. Probably that will take up 15 minutes.
Okay.
You don't have to prepare. Just say those words.
Just say one acronym and a
Right.
flood
No,
of comments.
yeah. So we're doing ANRADs.
Okay, yeah, I'll go. I'm gonna add it to my calendar right now.
Good, thank you.
All right, and the one other thing I guess that I would like to touch on, let's see, what was it? Now I'm like, which one was it? There was, I just had it in my mind. Sorry about that.
Can I jump in with something quick?
Of course.
Okay, so it's on the agenda, the inventory of historic trees in town. Well, Dawn is here because I'm on the historical commission, and I promised them that I would bring this up. We've been so there's really two things. One is, we've been talking about doing an inventory of historic trees and doing that survey, and maybe then deciding whether there are certain trees we want to protect or advocate for their protection. And that would be a joint project between the tree warden, the historical commission, and the CONCOM, if the CONCOM wants to do that. And then related to that, secondarily, is the historical commission has been talking about wanting to get an ArcGIS Esri license. And we did a little research into this. We found out that there's like a nonprofit rate for multiple users that costs about $500 per year. And so one of our questions is, are there other town committees that would benefit from using ArcGIS for some of their projects? And then maybe we can split the cost between different accounts or something. Because the historical commission is thinking about different ways that we can survey things in town, like stone walls. We're talking about maybe a scenic byways bylaw, and mapping out all the old stone walls in town, and historic districts, and historic trees, and all sorts of stuff. So
I mean, I think the
make a
commission
map
would,
for that. We could
would
make a map for
benefit.
the guy. What?
I think the commission would benefit from having access to ArcGIS as well.
We've been also, we've also been talking with somebody who might be able to do trainings for volunteers in how to do mapping. So it would be, if we got the license, the idea would be that we would train up representatives from different committees.
Okay.
As an example how you could use it right away, Concom as well as Historic Commission. Phil's got to map his trails.
He's got, so I was just saying, he's got to
Yeah.
map his
Yeah.
trails. Right.
Yeah, it'd be an easy way to produce the maps.
If he went and took photographs of the geo, yep. So do we need to vote on this and I can do some research and come back with a proposal? Or is this just like, you know, an informal
I
thing
would-
and I'll come back with a proposal?
Yeah, I think you should just do some more research and then come up with something more formal to bring to the commission.
Okay.
I really don't know about using commission funds for like a subscription like that. So that'll be something we would need to look into. But I think if you come up with a formal proposal and then we can kind of clarify if we could actually use our money for that.
I
go
think
from
we
there.
can.
Okay.
Every committee has some budget. And the historical commission has a little bit of a pool of money more than others. But my thought was also like approaching the planning board and maybe some other commissions. I mean, maybe we can get it out of the town money, some other pot, if a bunch of commissions want it.
Mhm.
I might actually have it in my budget.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I
the thing
mean,
is,
I need to mark trees at some point. And if there's historic trees in town,
Okay.
you know, maybe this is a question for Becky. She makes her decisions about how my budget gets spent with me. And I
There's
certainly
the-
could bring an idea to her.
Yeah, I'll get you information, Don, about the package we can get. One of the things is that there's like an online version of ArcGIS so that you
Right.
don't have to download it onto your desktop and take up all your memory.
And that's probably the best one for you guys to use. You don't want to be using professional grade ARC 10 or something like that, ARC map. You know, something that is online, GIS might be a lot easier to use.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. I won't take up any more time.
Okay, well, if that's all your tree questions, Don's gonna go.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Don.
guys.
Good night.
right,
Good night.
And because of Miriam giving me some time to look more closely at the agenda, I was able to figure out what I had been thinking about.
Okay.
So that's great. So I guess two things. One, Liam, since you work with your Kestrel, does that survey have a deadline, or could we move that one forward?
We can move it forward. Yeah, we can move it forward.
Okay.
Because it's really, the survey is essentially, we want to gauge interest in the commission's interest, well, you know, if they're managing the trail already, or if they want to manage the trail. It's essentially to kind of plant the seed and inquire about whether or not commissions are interested in being involved in Robert Frost Trail maintenance going forward. And that project is kind of not fully formed yet anyway, so we can put it off until another meeting.
And then, so the one I did want to touch on was whether the commission wanted to set up a special meeting for talking about the bylaw. Janice is still on the line. She just sent me she took a look at the bylaws and has some feedback for the commission, which I will share. I didn't get a chance to share it before the meeting because I saw it only
it
right
was last minute.
close ahead. And I knew that we weren't going to get into it tonight.
Yeah,
But so I guess I wanted to, that had been mentioned, brought up at the last meeting, of this idea of maybe having a second meeting sooner than April, when we start having two again. That would be just about the wetland bylaws.
If we wanted to have it on the warrant for town meeting, there's a deadline, if that's what we're thinking about. And I think the deadline, you have to, I believe, you know, somebody correct me, I think that you have to submit the warrant petition. Maybe commissions don't need to do that. And then you have to have a public hearing on it, don't we, Janice?
yes, for a bylaw you would. And I don't know how, I don't think it has the number of days in advance like the planning board does, but you know, there is a certain amount of dating before the town meeting. But
Right.
I have to tell you that you know, my opinion is that it needs a lot of work.
Okay.
I'll warn you that I didn't know. I thought I could do the comments in an hour or two today, and it took me till about 4:30. So I think there's, if you look at my comments at any rate, and consider them, I think it is going to take more work. It's not, to me, it's not near ready. There's too much missing.
That's was my feeling as well. So I'm a little concerned that we're going to be rushed if we want to get this into town meeting for this year.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean, if we need to put in more work on it, I think it's perfectly reasonable to wait until next year. I think maybe this is what happened to the commission. So we were working off a draft from 2011, which had been worked on by a commission. So a lot of the stuff in there, Janice, is stuff that we pulled from that draft.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And I think something happened with that draft, and something really never happened with that draft. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that even if we have to wait a year, it would be great to kind of keep it in mind.
Yeah.
Not kind of let it fizzle out again.
I also kind of wonder, you know, that, I mean, we have an amazing bylaw compared, very few towns or maybe no other town in Massachusetts has this bylaw. And there's a part of me that feels a little like, you know, if we try to fix it, are we kicking a hornet's nest? That's going to end up making it hard. You know, I just don't know what will happen. Like somebody on the floor of town meeting could get people to completely change the bylaw and would lose it.
That is always a concern, because once you have it up, you can't restrict what
You can't
other
restrict it, right?
things could be asked, and someone
Right.
on the floor could say, I think you need more than a 10-foot buffer zone or something
Yeah,
like
you
that.
could get the folks, I don't want to like put a bug in anybody's ear, but
Yeah.
you could get someone from the Lake Association to get
Yeah.
all the landowners up in arms about all the regulations that we impose on them around the buffer zone, and you know, tear the whole thing apart right on the floor of town meeting. I mean, that is a risk.
So that's why you have to really think about, and I think it would be worth a separate discussion, just what are you trying to achieve? What do you want to have? Why do you need the changes? You know, what's the important reason for doing it? And if it's important enough, then you find a way through it. But you do have to be careful. You put it on the floor and anything can happen.
Yeah, and I guess I really don't know anything about town meeting. So this is news to me that once it's on the floor, it could be changed by the public.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone could
Yep,
make
everything can be. And it could be, you know, could be enough people who've gotten annoyed with having to go through the Concom for things that would say, you know, let's just get rid of this bylaw altogether.
Yeah. So, I mean, I will say that I have an idea for how to do a workaround, because the only thing I heard really was that it's just there's so many filings near the lake, because the whole 100 feet of the lake is a resource area, and that's maybe part of the crunch. And I have an idea on how to maybe work with the regulations to make that a little less difficult. But
Okay, so changing the regulations, but not the bylaw.
yeah, for as much as you have, there are limitations to what you can do with the regulations versus the bylaw, but you've got the bylaw in place, and now you can just, I think, and we could have it, you know, could have someone check, legal person check to see if there's a way to sort of do a workaround where you take a look at the 100-foot resource area around the lake, but then you can say, we're not going to exert jurisdiction if it's lawn, pavement, you know, dirt roads, you know, things like that. And then the areas that are still wooded or wetland or water or whatever still fall under that jurisdiction. So I don't know, but you know, I think there's a chance. That's what I was thinking of after the last meeting, is to do it that way. It starts out as, yes, it's still all there, but then the commission can review it, maybe with like a request for determination, and say, okay, well, these areas are presumed not to really provide habitat, for
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And therefore, we won't have conditions or whatever on those parts.
Things that have already been disturbed by development.
Yeah, seriously disturbed. Yeah. So
Okay.
anyway, that's my thought of a possible way to do a workaround rather than having to open up the bylaw.
Yeah,
That's
that sounds
interesting.
cool. And I would like to talk about this at a meeting because
Yeah.
when we get into it, I get interested, but then I think about how much other stuff we have to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's why, this is Tessa, I think that's why it was brought up as having that be a separate meeting, because it can get
Right.
Mm-hmm.
bogged down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that'd be fine. I'd like to be a part of it.
Just to at least have the discussion, read
Yeah.
through the bylaw, can read through my 4-page letter. And then we can just talk about it one way or the other. My 4-page letter, for the 99% of it, is things that you should not take out or things that you should put in if you're going to be messing with it. So if you
So do
don't
we-
mess with it, it's better.
Do we have to post it if it's just a working meeting? I guess it does
Yeah.
if there's a
As long as quorum is meeting, it does need
meeting a quorum.
Mhm.
needs to, yeah, discussion, but it doesn't, but we can be focused. It does not have to.
Yeah, just this. That would be great.
So we're not gonna add anything to it. It'll be our work time.
Yeah, it wouldn't have to have anything on the agenda except
Okay.
that you're
Would-
looking over the bylaws. So how soon do people feel they have time? February, March?
I could do later this month, but
Or-
then we have to read the bylaw. So maybe we could do the first week of February, the week before the meeting.
Yeah, I would,
That'd be
February
okay.
is better for me than January.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick a date now?
Sure.
Well, we have Janice here.
Would Thursday the 4th work?
Yeah, I don't have anything then, if that works for you guys.
Yeah, it should work.
Yeah,
for me.
that works for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Same time, same bat channel.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
7. Was that what we're doing?
And I
Yeah.
would think it'd be an hour and a half. That's probably more than what most people could stand, talking about bylaws and stuff
Yeah,
anyway.
I agree.
I agree.
Just after that, your mind sort of melts,
Mhm.
Okay, so February 4th, 7 p.m.
Thank
Right.
you.
Okay. And then I was remembering the one other item that's time critical that relates to the tree cutting is that because tree cutting issues have come up and there's been, discussion of how to proceed, is that the town is doing a newsletter that the due date is actually January 29th. So what Linda recommended is if the commission would like to have a newsletter article about tree cutting and notifying the public when they have to get permitting from the Conservation Commission, that the commission nominates someone to work on that article, since the deadline is before the next meeting. And then I'm happy to work with that person too to make that, if the commission wants to do that, but it's an option.
Sounds like a good idea, since it sounds like you're having a lot of tree cutting issues or questions.
Yeah.
Or lack of questions, just people doing it. People just doing it.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't supposed to do that.
So what is your policy? Someone has to check in with you first, or if it's dead, it's okay? I mean, I don't even know what the policy is.
I think
It's-
that's
That's what
pretty
part of this is.
casual. But generally, I think it's been that if someone's cutting in the buffer zone, or even if they have a property on the lake and it's not in the buffer zone, that we ask that they just reach out to us so we can go take a look at the trees they want to cut down. And typically we say, yes, just keep the stumps in and wait till you get a letter from Tessa saying that you can do it.
Okay.
And that's just, that's been the policy since I've been on the commission. Seems fairly reasonable. Could be improved. I don't know.
yeah. So it's whether the commission would like to draft submit an article to the newsletter to get that information out.
So who wants to do that? I don't. I got a lot of other things I'm doing, as Janice well knows.
Yes.
Due date January 29th.
Robin, do you feel inspired?
Yeah, you said forestry,
No,
right?
I
You
don't
like to write? You're a professor. Silence.
I said no, I decline.
Okay, sorry.
Well, there might be future, I don't know when the newsletter after this one is coming up, but I wanted to put the idea out there.
January 29th. I'll think about it.
Okay.
Consider me non-committal.
That's yeah, I mean, I guess that was the only idea that you could vote to that if anyone was to do it, I guess that it would be
It would be binding.
well, it would be non-binding, I guess, a motion. If it gets done, it'll be done by you. Non-binding motion.
Okay, well, let's just have a non-binding agreement that if it gets done, I will be the one who does it. And I think that I can definitely do it. It should probably take me like 15 or 20 minutes to write a letter of that sort.
Okay. And I guess, is there any objection on the commission to Liam being non-binding?
I love that idea.
Good. I think we should call Penny and tell her, don't you remember you were supposed to write an article about this
Yeah, I think that,
before
she
before you
volunteered.
left?
Thought she volunteered for sure.
Thanks.
No problem.
You could always ask her to look it over to see if she thinks that you're saying anything that might be mistaken or misunderstood or something like that. She's probably good
Oh.
on that, you know?
Yeah, that would be good. Now I'm more motivated to do it. That's a
I
great
think it would
idea.
help. And I think she'd be willing to do that, just to say,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. Or, oh, I don't know if you should say that, you know?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. And then I don't know if other people looking at the agenda.
Site visit.
Right. Okay. That I can be quick about because I was able to get through to the landowner Matthew Borowick, and he has not. The RDA has not been submitted yet. He's hoping to do that by the end of this month. Has put in the special permit to ZBA, so he's kind of seeing where that is. Which is starting on the 25th of this month is the ZBA hearing opens for that project. And I did hear that Saturdays are the best for him, but I don't know if commission members do site visits on Saturdays.
And can you remind me what this is about?
Yes, it's a tear down and rebuild. It's 16 Mile
okay.
Drive.
Yeah.
This is the one that's on Piers, which is why Penny thought they could
right,
use a request for determination, not a notice of intent.
Yeah, okay, got it.
And the other portion is the septic, which has been done under RDAs before. So I guess the first question is the commission willing to do a Saturday?
Well, we've done Sundays before.
Yeah, I mean, Saturdays are
Open, okay. So the first Saturday in February is the 6th. The next one is the 13th. Which would, I guess, be after the.
And this is not going to involve any bushwhacking, right? Because this is just walking around the property.
No, because I haven't looked at the site physically, but from Mass GIS, all of it, the only wetlands is the lake. So
yeah, it's right on the lake. I think that's.
Yeah, I don't think it's not a huge property either, so I can't imagine.
So the first Saturday is the 6th
of February. Yeah.
I mean, I could do the 6th. I'm fine with this. Either this. I could.
I'm happy to go, but I may be having surgery and I don't know when that's going to be. So, you know, if it's post-surgery, then I wouldn't be going.
Yeah. Understandable. Is there another member who could do February 6th, Saturday?
This is the 16 Wyola Drive.
Yes.
I think I could, what day of the week is February 6th?
It's a Saturday. That's what the applicant was said was better for him, but he would.
I could probably do that.
How would 10 o'clock be? Or do you
Okay for
prefer-
me.
Or do you prefer afternoon?
10 o'clock is fine. I mean, whatever.
Okay.
Morning, afternoon.
Every day is the same day these days.
Exactly.
Just some days you have to get
weather
dressed.
dependent, right? If it's a
Some days you have to
snowstorm,
get
it might
dressed.
make it tricky. Okay, well, I will reach out. I will reach out to the app and tell him that we're considering February 6th, 10 a.m. Thank you.
Great.
I think I think if he was here, he would have extended the appreciation for choosing a Saturday.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I think we've covered most of the agenda. Actually, anyway, the only other
Amazing.
we really
Proud.
you guys persevered. So I think the member roles, that was one of the attachments I sent out, can be postponed to the another meeting.
I agree.
Just to discuss, what different members could do that Penny was doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she did so much.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. So, but I don't see a reason why that's so urgent that it couldn't be.
Okay, great.
And then there was this email addresses thing as well, which was about essentially the idea that for legal reasons, it might be better for commissioners to have an email address that was exclusively used for Concom business, which I think, Miriam, you have one for the Historical Commission and the Concom already.
It's for whatever town committee I'm on, yeah.
Okay.
It makes, yeah, it's a really good practice.
I don't think it's required from what Tessa told me, but I think it's legally encouraged for legal reasons. And another benefit, I haven't done this yet, but I think another benefit would be just for organization's sake to keep all your town business in one inbox and have that be free from your other inbox.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to do it.
Out instructions on how to do that, how to get this new email.
So the town, wait, can I
go ahead.
just share a couple things. One is the town doesn't have emails on the Shutesbury.org available, but you can just make a free one on Gmail if you want. A lot of people do. That's what I do. One of the reasons to do it, just as a plug for it, is that one time I was on a commission and there was a public record request for all of the emails about a particular topic, and I had to go searching through all my personal emails. And, some of them were to town people, but it was personal stuff and I had to segregate it all. It was really a nightmare. So it's easier to have your own account, especially for town business. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Tessa.
Oh, no, that was actually similar. So what I'm just confirming what Miriam just said about requests. That's actually why. So the person who brought this up, why it became an agenda item, is the town clerk, Grace, was the one who has this concern about, because she's the liaison if there's a public request. And so that was her concern. And it seems like Miriam even faced that situation. So she
it was traumatic, really.
Other people to face.
I just can't tell you how traumatic it was. So
that's news to me that you couldn't get a town address, because Grace seemed to think that you could. So
that would be nice.
I would I can ask her about that again. Because what I was thinking was that you could go either with the Gmail route, which is free, or Grace believed, I'll check with her since now there's some doubt.
At Shutesbury.org.
At least a town, she seemed to think that you could set up a town.
Maybe it's changed. It used to be that they just, they had a certain number of them through that Gmail account. It's actually through Gmail, the Shutesbury.org.
Right.
But, I guess the difference also is if you do your own, you own it. You're doing it on the town platform, then you don't own it. So.
I will check, but since there is some doubt, possible doubt, I will double check with
Yeah,
Grace about that.
yeah,
So that commission members know their options.
yeah.
So
Okay.
you don't have to decide tonight, but I put it out there because it is not
Yeah.
legally required. It is, yeah.
Sounds like if there is a request for information, it's going to be a lot less stressful for us if we have our own emails just for town business.
You won't have to go searching.
Hmm.
So you can have all your personal emails to whomever segregated.
The only problem is you have to remember to look at it.
You do have to open it up and
It's
it's like
see if people
annoying.
sent you something, yeah.
Yeah, that
So
might be hard
annoying.
for me, but well, maybe I could get used to it.
I mean, you could have it forwarded to your personal email.
Yeah.
If you,
That's smart.
That's true.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much all we've got, huh?
yeah, thank you.
Well, does anyone want to make a motion to close the meeting?
Please.
Second.
Please do.
Oh, I didn't make the motion.
Oh,
I
no.
invited somebody to.
We're too tired. You have to do
Okay,
it.
well, I'll make the motion. I'll make a motion that we close this meeting at 9:42 p.m.
I second
Second.
that.
All
Who won
right.
that
Roll.
one?
It was Mary seconding it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, roll call. David,
Hi.
DeFont,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
and Cregan. Aye.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
On the
Bye-bye.
floor. Thank you.